Hey.
Family, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Today we're going to talk about what is BRICS. You know that it is our duty, our mission to keep the masses informed about what's going on in and around the continent and teaching you how to thrive when making the transition to the motherland. So thank you. Tune in, get this information, understand, overstand. We want to introduce ourselves. Of course, we have me, Mangituru Imzadi,
Mangitu Adam.
and of
Man,
course,
Mangita do will.
he working on it, y'all. He working on it.
And Mangitu, anybody that doesn't know, Mangituru means my name is.
Right. And so today, once again, we're going to talk about what is BRICS. A lot of people don't know what BRICS is. They don't know who's involved with it. They don't know the economic shift that's going on right now. They don't know about the American digital currency that's going on. It's a lot of information that people do not know. And so today we're going to talk about that, and hopefully you'll understand a little bit more about what that is by the end of this episode. Yeah. Okay, family. So we have the quote of the day. You know, we got to figure out the motivation for the week. What is going to make us feel better? And we always have Willie Will to tell us what the quote of the day is. What's the quote for
give
today,
it to us,
Will?
Will. Give it to us.
All right. So the quote of the day is, "Do your best and forget the rest."
Okay, do your best.
And forget
Do
the
your
rest.
best and forget the rest. Right. So every single day, do exactly your best. Whatever that is, for Monday, whatever that is for Tuesday and the rest of the week, whatever that is. And if you do your best, you don't have to worry about the rest of it. That's it. If it's your best and that's all you got, that's all you can do, that's all you can be asked for. That's it.
Right.
Yes,
I
sir.
love that. Do your best and forget the rest, family.
That's
Don't
it.
let nobody tell you that you are not actually achieving anything because you
That's
did
right.
your best.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Yes.
Small
Words to live
victories.
Now we have our words in Wolof, and it always comes from Adam.
So
Right.
today, family, our word is saf. Okay, it means spice.
Saf.
So
Saf.
saf. You know, the fish is saf, spice.
Okay. Soft.
Saf.
Saf.
Yeah.
Soft. Okay. Soft. Now, we want to introduce our very, very, very special guest that we have on today.
All
He is
right.
going to be our informant on what actually is BRICS, because he has a very extensive history in politics and things that involve the government. So,
Yes.
Adam, tell us a little bit more about him.
So today, family, we have Larnell B. Exum coming on with us. When you think about 30 years plus of military experience, when you think about a big business consulting other businesses, when you think about the Capitol
Come on.
Hill, the White House, experience in the
All right.
Senate, when you think about the House of Representatives, when you think about a real legal position as somebody that's been there, has walked the walk and talked the talk, Larnell is that man. So today I want to introduce Larnell B. Exum.
Welcome
Yeah.
on.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
I'm home to be here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Apple wise.
Okay, Larnell, can you tell the people a little bit about you? Something we might not have gave them.
Okay. I was born in Norfolk, Virginia. I am the youngest of 5 children. I have a twin brother. And I grew up in a housing project known as Liberty Park that was designed specifically for veterans from World War II. And so I come from the projects, a project. And to have the life that I have and to have had the opportunities I have, it's have to be nothing but the grace of God. So I'm fortunate. And like I said, I'm from Norfolk, Virginia, just a small town in the Tidewater area. And I didn't come from a political household. My daddy had a 6th grade education. Yeah, my daddy had a 6th grade education. But he was
Wow.
he was a World War II veteran. He had 5 siblings. 4 of them served in the Army.
Wow.
One of them served as a Tuskegee Airman.
All
I'm
right.
fortunate that my wife
That's
and I,
crazy. Yeah.
well, it gets better. I'm fortunate. My wife and I have 2 children. Our oldest son is a lieutenant in the Coast Guard, and he's actually in flight school. And so that's going to be a 2nd generation Exum as an aviator. And our daughter is finishing up her 2nd degree. She'll be a nurse. And my mother was a nurse. So it's just kind of neat watching your kids continue the family tradition without any coaching, but they're just on that path. So
Right.
Well,
Wow.
it's crazy you say that. You say that you know, it wasn't really a political household like that. So what led you to politics?
I got what I would call Potomac fever. I was a young infantry officer, airborne ranger, had just finished commanding in Desert Storm, Desert Shield. And I got picked to be the aide for the Undersecretary of the Army. And I'll be honest with you, I had no idea that the Army even had an Undersecretary. I knew we had a secretary. So this man takes me from Fort Campbell, Kentucky, a place that Dr. Wilson knows quite well, and brings me to the Pentagon. And the next thing you know, I'm sitting in the back of rooms watching senators and members of the House of Representatives and the president and heads of state have conversations. And the Potomac is a river that runs through DC, or one of them that runs through DC. And I just got that fever. And I said, man, this is how the sausage is made. This is how money is allocated. This is how things are appropriated. This is how policy is shaped. And I said, I'd like to be involved in that. And I just changed my whole career path. No more jumping out of airplanes and trying to figure out how to execute raids and take down the buildings. I said, I want to learn how politics works. And so I set myself to that task.
So you started off in the military, then you went to politics. So tell us. Go ahead. Okay, I was just going to say.
I did 20 years in the Army, and what I ended up doing was I retired, and my first political appointment was at the county level. And I'll be honest with you, I really did want to run for office. I had a cousin who was a state senator, and his daughter was a county council member. But family gave me or you call it detox or whatever it was. I saw how dirty county politics was, and
really,
they're just so in politics in general. There was just something about that that didn't resonate with my spirit, and I said, well, you know, this isn't for me. I won't run for office, but I certainly wanted to be still involved with trying to put the right people in the right place to do the right things.
Right.
So eventually, what's the position that you landed at Capitol Hill, and what was that like? Can you tell us a little bit about what that was like?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Which one? I was the first black. I was the first black deputy chief, House Army liaison. So that's House of Representatives, and that was my last job on active duty as a lieutenant colonel.
Yeah.
And then I was the first black civilian. No, I was just the first civilian that was the deputy chief Senate Army liaison. So I did that as a civilian.
That's crazy.
And yeah, it was pretty neat, and had some opportunities to do some pretty neat stuff with some pretty influential people. I think we'll get to that later on.
Okay. So you said you had 20 years of military experience. So what are some of the notable moments in the time in the Senate and the House of Representatives? Like, what were some of the moments that you can just call out to us, and you know, it's something that you'll never forget?
Okay. I got to escort a young senator one day to Walter Reed to visit one of his constituents. And that young senator was from Illinois. His name was Barack Obama. And so I escorted him to Walter Reed. Yeah, it was amazing. I escorted him to Walter Reed. It was a great trip. And he said, stay in touch with me. We'll see how this goes. So I stayed in touch with his office. History shows that he ended up being the president of the United States. And maybe a year later, I get a phone call when I was in the Senate, and it said, would you like to be the deputy assistant secretary of defense for House Affairs? So that it was, let's say, the equivalent to a GS-15 or a full colonel in the Army or in the military.
Okay.
So I moved from that level to a 3-star equivalent, and it was a fantastic job. We're talking about a little black boy from the projects walking outside the Pentagon one day, and there's a helicopter waiting for me. So we had an opportunity to move. Yeah, has had opportunity to weigh in on some pretty heavy things throughout my career. So I was very, very fortunate. So that's one of the war stories in the Senate. Teddy Kennedy's funeral, had an opportunity to take some of the more senior senators up to his funeral. John McCain, may he rest in peace. The Rockefellers, the Reeds. So I've had some pretty interesting moments, and it's been good. It's been a good ride, and it continues.
So during that time period that you were in the political realm, were you doing public speaking? Were you, going around and speaking like you're doing now at colleges and things of that nature?
Yeah, I've had an opportunity to go back and be the freshman convocation speaker at my undergrad university, Norfolk State University. I've had an opportunity to work in workshops at my master's degree alma mater, Georgetown University. Haven't had a chance to go back to Harvard yet. I'm a senior executive fellow from the Kennedy School of Government, Harvard University. Haven't had a chance to go back up to Harvard and do anything yet, but we'll see if that ever presents itself. So I like talking, but I try to be very selective about which organizations I will talk to and lend myself to, because credibility is important to me.
Right.
Absolutely. So,
okay, so go ahead, Will.
So Larnell, what were you doing today? Where are you right now? Hello?
I'm not able to hear you very well, Dr. Wilson.
Okay, can you hear me now? Is that any better? Hello?
We can hear you, Will.
We can hear you. I think he's just having a problem hearing you.
Okay. Larnell,
feel free
can you
to relay
hear me?
the question. I got you now, sir.
Okay. So
Yes, sir.
tell us a little bit about where you are right now, and and why you're there, and what you've done today.
Larnell, he's asking, where are you now, and what have you done today? Or what are you doing today right now?
Oh, what a great question. I'm actually in Las Vegas, Nevada, with my wife and an Army buddy and his wife, and we're just relaxing for the day. But tomorrow we'll be involved in the first historically Black college and university conference out here, just trying to get folks in this part of the country to understand that HBCUs are viable educational experience, and then also hold a series of workshops starting at 8 in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon with some pretty heavy hitters from Morehouse University and some other universities that are going to come in and just talk about some of the opportunities and some of the tools that we want to put in people's kit bags so that they can better operate. So
you said this is the first there where you're at?
Yeah, this is the maiden voyage. This is the maiden voyage.
That's crazy. That's amazing.
I'll make sure I share some of the information with you guys, and
please do.
We'll see how we can partner. Oh, absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
So thanks for letting me plug that, Dr. Wilson. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And so can everyone hear me right now? Everybody hear me?
We can hear you well.
Larnell, can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me or not.
You're cutting in and out on me.
Oh,
okay. How
about now? Is that any better? Oh my goodness. Okay. So
it's crazy.
So it's okay.
It's still buffering.
So okay. So we have to work around technology. So so ask Larnell about what he's done with the Coast Guard at his alma mater. I think that would be a good question.
Okay, so Larnell, what have you done with the Coast Guard at your alma mater? We've heard some things.
Oh wow, you I don't think I would be able to get my head out the hotel room if you guys got these questions coming. My wife and I are admissions partners with the Coast Guard Academy, and we've been doing this now since 2015. Our son was our son went into the Coast Guard Academy in 2014, graduated in 2018, allowed us the largest class of African Americans in the history of the Coast Guard. And my wife and I saw that there wasn't enough representation of African Americans or minorities, period.
Right.
And so we became admissions partners, and that's somewhere in the neighborhood of about a $375,000 education if a kid goes to the Coast Guard Academy. And you graduate with no debt, and you're doing really well. So we've probably gotten 15 or 16 kids into the Coast Guard Academy.
Are you serious?
Here's the other thing that very much. And here's the other thing that we're excited about. Not everybody wants to go to the Coast Guard Academy. Some kids want to go to an HBCU. Mm-hmm. My nephew wanted to go to an HBCU. And so what my wife and I have done is we've worked very, very diligently to get MOU signed, a memorandum of understanding, or MOA, a memorandum of agreement with the Coast Guard Academy and HBCUs. So Norfolk State has one, and yesterday we got a phone call that we're excited about. Florida A&M will sign a MOU with the United States Coast Guard. And here's what's so neat about this. A kid who goes into this program, he or she has to figure out how they finance their freshman and sophomore year of education. Mm-hmm. Then the Coast Guard says, okay, if you make the cut, your junior and senior year, you don't have any debt. They pay tuition, books, fees.
Wow.
They pay you a housing allowance to live off campus. But it gets better. Then they give you then they give you $3,600 a month in your pocket.
What?
Oh my God!
What?
Yeah. And so then you graduate with your degree, and then you have to go to a 17-week officers candidate course at the Coast Guard Academy. And after that 17 weeks, you come out and you're an officer, and you only owe the Coast Guard 3 years. Now, my son, when he graduated, our son, when he graduated from the Coast Guard Academy, he owed them 5 years. And let me just back up real quick. One of the things that the young applicant has to do is they have to finish the 8 weeks boot camp. Mm-hmm. But you go to that after you finish your sophomore year, 8 weeks, then you go back to school. I mean, literally no debt. And here's the other thing, and I'll stop. My nephew graduated with his degree in biology, but he had $30,000 worth of debt. He had 3 years. He has 3 years that he has to pay back. The Coast Guard every year pays $10,000 of that debt. So in 3 years, he is debt free.
Right.
And so we really want to get the word out to our village and get them to understand there's some opportunities out here that you don't have to go to school and graduate with a ton of debt and find yourself perpetually behind. So we're working really hard.
We congratulate you. That is a beautiful program.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh, yeah.
It's very important to not have debt when you get out of school. Like I personally went to university on a full ride scholarship, and I didn't have to take any money out. And even though I didn't finish school, I didn't finish at college, leaving, I did not have a debt. So I did not have to worry about that going in and trying to raise kids and trying to have money for ourselves and just trying to manage life. I didn't have to worry about that. And it is really a big stress relief. So it's very, very important that you guys are doing that for people. That's very beautiful. We don't have that in our community because you see your mother, you see your father, you see your auntie, they're going to work every day to pay off their debt so they can get their credit score up. So that is a very beautiful thing that you guys are doing. It's very, very, very respectable.
And it sounds like you guys are, it sounds like you're grounded. It sounds like you're for the people. It sounds like you've always been that way. You've always been a humanitarian. You've always been speaking to education. you've been interested in politics, like you said. So, you know, speaking to the community, what are your thoughts on Africa? What are your thoughts on, you know, the continent abroad? What do you think about it?
My God, get a passport and get to getting.
Right.
There has been such a misperception about
Absolutely.
Africa, our continent. And we see a lot of these nonprofits, UNICEF, and some of these organizations. You know, there's a kid with the bloated belly and the flies around his mouth, and
Oh my
if you just give
goodness.
$20 a day, but they never want to tell you about the beauty of Africa and how every resource you could possibly need to include human capital exists there. I've had an opportunity to go to Morocco 3 times and Cape Town, South Africa once. I need to do a better job of hitting some other spots, but I'm just excited about the potential in Africa. I'm excited about the fact that there are people like Dr. Wilson who are going to Africa and Gambia respectively, and making a difference there. And you know, we're trying to have some conversations with our fraternity and some other folks that we know to tell them that, look, you can't buy into this false premise of Africa, because everybody is there except us.
There you go.
Right.
We just came back from a trip and it was nothing but, you know, not us there.
Yeah. Say it again for the people in the back.
And, you know,
everybody's there except for us. See, we think traveling is, you know, going to Jamaica and going to the Bahamas.
Right.
No,
Right.
no, that's not. You may as well go to Disney World and walk around Epcot or someplace.
Come on.
You go to Africa. You got 54 countries on that continent.
Come on now. So would you ever, you know, relocate to Africa? Why or why not? Like, why wouldn't you? If you have cons against it and if you have pros for moving, why would you?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to spend the winters in Africa and maybe come back home or come back to the United States during the summers. But I wouldn't hesitate. Now, there's certain places, I mean, I absolutely want to go and do safaris and, you know, the schools and, you know, go to Ethiopia. The oldest, you know, churches in the world are there in Ethiopia.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't tell my wife I did this until I got back on shore, but I went great white shark diving in one of the cages. I actually went with the only, I went with the only black female who owns a company in Cape Town, South Africa. Oh yeah, you know I'm gonna hang out with a sister. Went out with and it was fascinating. I got surfing lessons from the longboard champion for the country of South Africa. And it was just an amazing time. So I wouldn't hesitate to plant roots in Africa. No.
Okay, well, we're gonna hold you to that. You need to come back and you need to plant those roots because we need you in Africa.
Now there's a lot of variables with moving to Africa, and we kind of brushed on that in the previous podcast. So check that one out, guys. Check that one out, family, please.
Will do.
You know, there's a lot of variables with moving to Africa, and one of those things to think about is economy and finances, and that brings us to our topic today, our main topic. BRICS is a new standard coming into play. So, what do you think of these nations uniting economically, and how do you think Africa will be affected by that?
I think what we have is a small group of countries that are understanding the power of being a collective. For years, if you travel through Europe, France had the franc, Great Britain had a pound, Germany had the Dutch mark, Russia had rubles. And as you moved around these different countries, you had all this different currency going on. But up pops the euro in the European Union, and they have one currency. And it was economic power in all of those countries coming together. And I think that's what you see happening in BRICS. with a lot of these countries, and if you notice, most of these countries rely heavily on oil, petroleum,
Yes,
to
yes.
conduct business. And so as countries like the United States start talking about moving more toward wind, solar, and battery powered transportation and things of that nature, these oil rich nations have got to figure out a way how they remain relevant. And one of the ways they do that is to do something like BRICS. A while back, I got to go and visit a guy who wrote a book, and it was called Twilight in the Desert. And the premise of his book was Saudi Arabia was actually running out of oil. That's why when they say, OPEC, we need you to pump more oil, more barrels, Saudi Arabia goes, well, we'll see what we can do. The premise of this gentleman's book was that Saudi Arabia is actually running out of oil. And so Saudi Arabia knows that if they don't have oil, they cease to be as relevant. And so you'll see Saudi Arabia make some moves like Yemen, just constantly bombing Yemen. Why?
Yep.
Yemen's rich in oil. So, Saudi Arabia doesn't tell Bashar Shah to stop doing what he's doing in Syria because Syria's rich in oil.
Exactly.
So you say countries who are joining BRICS because it's about survival.
Right.
The Russian ruble isn't worth as much as it used to be, especially when they decided to, just full on invade Ukraine. So it makes sense for Russia to try to get with Brazil. It makes sense for Russia to try to get in bed with China. It makes sense for Russia to try to get in bed with India. So that's why you see these relationships blossoming.
And
that's my take.
Some people fear that BRICS, them blossoming with their economy and them creating a new currency is going to make the American dollar go down. Do you think that's true?
No. I think it's a great talking point, and I think some of the people who push it the hardest are the folks who are into cryptocurrency. And now that cryptocurrency is having not its best moments, then one of the best things to do is to say, don't pay so much attention to cryptocurrency. Let's look at what's happening with BRICS, and let's look at some of these other things. But no, I think you have to, again, go back and look at what's happening with the countries who are pushing anything other than the dollar. I mean, what's a ruble worth now? It's not worth much of anything. So of course Russia would push that, and I'm no conspiracy theorist, but
it's a bit of fake media.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm no conspiracy theorist, but you have to pay attention to what Russia and China are doing. I mean, in New York, they just had a secret police force being arrested in the city of New York.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. In the city of New York, they arrested 2 senior guys, and then they had literally set up a police force. And so if there was any Chinese dissidents here in the United States saying something that wasn't favorable to China, this police force would move around, make life difficult for them, send out anonymous emails. So you have that going on. And you have the same thing with Russia. If anyone thinks that Russia didn't play a role in Donald Trump's successful winning of an election, you're kidding yourself. We know that Facebook, Twitter, and some of the social media platforms weren't as diligent as they needed to be, and we caught 4 years of hell for it. And I know some people may believe that they want to see making America great again, but my question is, for who?
Right.
That's true. So there's a lot of fake media going on in the whole BRICS thing. But one thing that we know for certain is America right now is gearing up for this whole digital currency movement, like you were talking about the cryptocurrency. So what are your thoughts on America turning to the digital central currency in the coming years? They want to have their own banking standard on the digital market.
You know what? I'd like to come back at a later date and unpack that with a little bit more specificity, if that's okay.
Okay, that sounds great. So guys, we're gonna get another
Nice.
episode with Larnell. He like us. He want to come back.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can
Yes.
hear you great, Will.
Okay.
I'm not sure Larnell can hear you yet, but we can hear you good.
I'm having a little difficulty.
I don't know why that is.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you great.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so a lot of people feel like travel is becoming more restricted right now, Larnell. Do you feel that way? Because there was recently in the U.S. Department of Travel, they put out an advisory saying that you shouldn't travel to Russia. Right now, the government is more liable to harass you because of the times of what's going on. So do you think I'm saying the magic words? Every time I get to that point,
they don't want us talking about none of
look,
this.
I'm saying the magic words.
They don't want us talking about none of this. They like, hold on, what y'all talking
Right.
about?
Let me rephrase my
Right.
question.
Yeah,
Right.
every
Yeah.
time you go to Russia, they cut him off.
I see that.
Okay, I'm gonna take that part out.
Yeah, because they not. That's crazy. Okay, let's see.
All right, let's start one more
He coming
time.
back. He coming back.
You're gonna probably have to come up with you're gonna have to probably say the acronym or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're gonna probably have to say BRICS or something and not say the R word.
I got you. Okay. A lot.
Hey,
Are we
I
ready?
heard your question though about travel restrictions. Let me tell you one of the things that I was doing, and this is great how it talks about how I met Dr. Wilson. So we were on a Facebook page together, and he asked, "Did anybody know how to get visas done?" And because I worked on Capitol Hill and I got visas done all the time, I said, "What are you trying to do?" And he told me what he was trying to do, and he FedExed me the money and the forms and everything, and I was able to go to the Gambian embassy. It was closed, but I was able to get in touch with the right people, got everything turned around, FedExed over to him, and the next thing you know, that man's got his entire family over in Africa, in Gambia, doing it. And what I was able to do in my last job as an appointee in the House of Representatives is I could get passports expedited. And I made it clear to all of my friends, get at me. Let me get your passports done. And I mean, I could turn passports around in 15 days.
Wow.
30 days if you didn't have a book, but 30 days if you didn't have a book, 15 days if you had a book and you simply needed to get it renewed. No, travel isn't being more restrictive. In fact, if you're talking about travel advisories, we're telling people you ought to avoid Florida more than you should avoid, Ghana.
Oh yeah,
I believe it.
Yeah,
I believe it.
Now, especially what's going on in Florida right now.
Exactly. The don't say gay, and then the same thing in a lot of these other states with these Republicans who are in charge. So no, I don't think it's becoming more difficult to travel. I just think that if you put that out there, it feeds back into that narrative that everybody else is there. The Chinese are there, the Germans are there, the Russians are there. Everybody else is there, but we're not there because whoever somebody is, says it's more restrictive and more difficult to travel. Now, let's not kid ourselves. There's something going on in the country right now that we got half of the military fighting this way and half of the military fighting this way.
Yes.
And it's literally some of us believe that's a proxy war. The United States has been involved in proxy wars before in Africa, whereas the United States is backing one side of a country and the Russians are backing on the other side of a country, and they're literally having a proxy war. So there's some countries that you ought not go in right now. Well, we say the same thing in Europe. You shouldn't plan to take a vacation to Ukraine right now. So let's keep it weird. Let's keep it real.
So it's really common sense, You just look at the times, look at the situation of the country, and you'll make a valid decision.
But I do believe that everybody should get a passport as quickly as possible. And if you want some help putting together some talking points and kind of coaching people and helping folks navigate that, the Exum Group, which is my consulting firm, it's a small boutique LLC, and we started it in 2006. And then when I got back into these political appointments, I had to park it because there was a conflict of interest. But now that I am retired, we're going to unpark it. But my wife and I are going to be very, very selective, and we'll make the website go active again. But you'll see in the mission statement, there's certain people that we won't take as clients because there's just certain people. All money's not good money. We won't represent everybody. We will not work with everyone. It's just at the end of the day, if you hear somebody say Exum, because one of the things that we say to our kids, what's your last name? And they say Exum. And our response is act like one.
Right.
You don't put any smut on this family's name. So the Exum group will be very, very diligent, but very methodical about who we accept as a client and what we do.
Okay. We love that. I think being selective about your clientele, some people hear that and they're like, oh well, you're not gonna make as much money as you possibly could. But speaking to what you just said, all money is not good money. And when you actually take the time and think about who you're working with and do a background check on them, you'll be able to weed out who is worth working with and who you might be sending somewhere that they should not be. So definitely picking your clients is something that only a businessman can do.
Right.
Do you primarily work with large businesses, or do you work with
small ones?
Okay.
Mom and pop pop-ups. One of my fraternity brothers, one of Dr. Wilson, our fraternity brothers, my line brother, he has a small company called Piedmont Hemp, a cannabis company that is in its infancy stages. But I work with him to help him understand the legislation and which members are user-friendly and which members aren't user-friendly. And while some folks would hear hemp and cannabis and will recoil, studies have shown that that's been very, very, very helpful for veterans who are dealing with PTSD and just people who are dealing with pain and anxiety. And then you have that you got to pay attention here. Speaker Boehner was the Speaker of the House of Representatives, third in the line of succession. He retires from Capitol Hill, and what's the first board that he joins? A board for a cannabis company. He never tried to pass any legislation to decriminalize marijuana. He never tried to pass any legislation to do anything to help folks who are incarcerated for the rest of their lives behind 3 strikes and you out. But the first company he joins when he retires from Capitol Hill is a cannabis company. Colorado legalized marijuana. Look how many billions of dollars they rake in. DC just did it. California, and there'll be other states. We now have professional teams that don't test for marijuana anymore. Why is that?
That's crazy.
There's a lot of money to be made there. But of course there's that stigma about marijuana, and how the nation has, scheduled it along with heroin and why. But so that's one of the small companies that I work with, and that's how we operate. I've worked with a small 8A company when I first got out of when I first left the Obama administration, and that was a small 8A company, and now that is a huge company that is doing extremely well. So I like being on the ground floor with companies that are getting started, and you look back later on and you go, play the role in that. So
So Larnell, it was great having you today. I just want to ask you one last thing before you go. For a young budding politician, a young budding somebody that's trying to come into the military field, somebody that's trying to get into that world, what advice do you give them before they get into it? Because you've seen it all from the ups and the downs. So what advice would you give them going into that world?
Find a mentor like Dr. Wilson and listen to what he says, and don't take the hard criticism to heart. And I will say this about mentoring: everything that you plant won't grow. And that's a hard reality, because you want all of the people that you're mentoring to be successful. But everybody isn't going to be successful. And it's painful when you watch someone that you poured into not get it. And I've had to unplug from some people that I was mentoring because I can't have you damage my name.
Right.
If you guys later on say, would you give us a recommendation? And I give you a recommendation, and they go, Exum really doesn't do a good job of picking winners. The last 8 guys and gals that he's been mentoring, they have just been horrible. So I can't have you mess up my name. So everything you plant won't grow, and you just have to be careful with that. But I enjoy mentoring. I have mentors. Dr. Wilson's mentoring me, and I'm mentoring him. And I'll say this and get out your way. Proverbs 27:17 says, iron sharpeneth iron, and one man counteneth another. And so I want to hang around people that sharpen me. And you guys have sharpened me this evening. You've taught me some skills that I didn't know, and I am grateful for the opportunity to have spent time with you.
Thank you. We appreciate it too.
Well,
Thank you.
Absolutely. And Larnell, absolutely. I think I'm not alone here when I say if we need somebody from the DC area, a correspondent, a information if we need a SME on political processes and understanding them, and if we need that kind of insider information as to how things work and how they affect us all, whether we're on the continent, off the continent, or even in our personal lives and at multiple levels of government, then I guess we have our man. I guess we have our guy.
Look no further.
I would hope
right.
I would hope that you wouldn't.
Right, and the team and I definitely look forward to having you as our Washington correspondent to help us bring to light a lot of these issues and discussions with some intelligible response and from a place of understanding and intellect and experience, so we can really expound on it and really have a multiple dimension perspective on what it is we're talking about from a place of understanding.
I welcome the opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, welcome to the team. Welcome to the team.
Thank you. Welcome to the team. I appreciate it.
Welcome to the team, and the administrators. You see that young power couple right there. They will definitely let you know when we have things that we need retired Lieutenant Colonel Larnell Exum to give his information on, or or give his insight on and his expertise. So be looking for a call from us here in the future from GCO.
And we launched on the 3rd next month.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when I see the bat signal in the air, don't worry, I'll always answer.
Right. So I'm excited. I'm glad we was able to do this. I do apologize, guys. I'm mobile, so that's why it's getting a little dark on me over here and stuff. So I'm glad we was able to get this information out.
Well, I thank you guys for your time too, and I'm gonna have to pull pitch because we've got a little reception this evening prior to kicking things off tomorrow.
Okay.
But I really appreciate this time.
Yes, you enjoy your night. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everybody.
You too.
All right.
Well, family, you heard it here and nowhere else. You know about BRICS now, and we want to always encourage you to please like, subscribe, comment, tune into our next live, tune into our next episode, and tune in to this information so you can understand and so you can overstand, because it's a lot of information out here, you guys, that is not just given to you. And so let us do the hard work for you. Let us do the research for you and give you the information that you need to know so that you can thrive on the continent and before you get to the continent.
And what's the word of the day?
Soft.
Yes,
Soft is
Soft.
the word of the day. And like we always say, family, do your own research. Do not listen to us. Do not listen to me. Do not listen to what do you call him, Dr. Will. Do not listen to us. Listen to yourself and listen to the truth. Because anything that we say, you can pull up, you can research, you can Google. It's not opinions, it's facts.
Yes, and that's why we're bringing on people like Larnell, who has walked the walk, who has talked the talk, who has been there for decades, that can give you a more credible and an in-depth background on information that we're giving you.
Absolutely.
All right, family.
Absolutely.
That's it on this episode. Will, you got something to say to the family?
Hey, guys, keep pushing. Anxiety, you and Adam, as always, have nailed it. There's not a whole bunch for me to add. I apologize tonight. I'm mobile. We here at GCO, we tend to be multitaskers, right? And
Right.
but we got it
Right.
done. We got it done. Good,
Yeah, we're
good.
organic over here. No matter what we got going on, we gonna get it done for y'all.
Absolutely. And Anxiety, just real quick, you made a great point. You made a great point about, hey, do your own research, have your own information, do what it is you need to do. We have access to so many avenues of information. So there's no reason that, somebody can't find out the exact same information that we're putting out. But I would tell you this, and just like you just already said, GCO is not here to guess. We're not here to play with you. We're not here to, just put out certain information and not all of it. So if you want the truth and you want it fresh and you want it right down the middle, you're in the right place. And if you're
100%.
wondering what GCO stands for, it's Game Changers Only. That's what it stands for. So that's a whole definition in and of itself. Absolutely.
Right. Well, y'all heard it here today. We're gonna let y'all go. Tune in to our next episode. Bye.
Bye.